We are live, Lost in the Shuffle, episode 52. We are over 50, 52 years old, 52 episodes. What's up, John?
What's up, buddy? Welcome, friends. Welcome to the millions and millions of listeners all around the world. This podcast got
And viewers.
popular real quick. Really quick.
John, I don't know if you know, but we reached triple digits on YouTube.
No big deal.
I'm just saying, triple
Hey, listen,
digits.
tell your friends. You want to be an early adopter of the Lost in the Shuffle pod, okay? You want to tell your friends, hey, I was with these guys when they were in the double digits.
Yeah, single digits. You know,
you're gonna get a lot. I mean, you're gonna get a lot of street cred. You might think, hey, most people don't know what you're talking about. Not the case. A lot of people know, and you should tell your friends and also your enemies.
And we have the analytics and data to back up your claims. So, John, it's Tuesday, man. Tuesday.
Dude, you've been man about town.
I have
You've been traveling all over.
I was born a traveling man. Is that the lyric or no?
I don't know.
Rambling man. Sorry.
Rambling man.
Yeah. There is a traveling man song.
I have a rundown of topics I want to talk about, but I want to open with this because I was following you on social media. So you're obviously work for Playmaker. They sent you to Boston on your fourth day of work to the NBA or whatever it was, to the NBA finals. So hey, listen, to be fair, you've been doing a bang up job in the couple of days that you worked there. So I know we'll send Pete to Boston to cover game 4 of the NBA finals. So they sent you to Boston to get some content. And I was obviously following you, but wanted to hear from you. Like, what was it like?
Yeah. So it was a very quick trip, obviously 24 hours, flew in Saturday morning. And I just got
did they fly you first class?
Yeah. First class Frontier.
Dude. Nice.
No, just regular Frontier. Hey, I don't care, man. I would have took a bus there. I'm happy to be along. I'm grateful for everything. So,
we legally have to say that.
Legally, flew out there, got in a cab. It was probably like a 10-minute ride to the hotel. The hotel connected to TD Garden, literally.
Sweet.
In my room out the window.
What hotel was it?
It's called Citizen M.
Okay.
And it's literally connected to the Garden, which was awesome. So I literally just took a cab there. Stayed there the whole time. I got in
one night.
Obviously, I did stay one night. Yeah. Okay. And I got there so early. I got there like 10:20 in the morning. So saw like a lot of celebs, like a lot of. I mean, ESPN personalities.
Celebs, do tell.
Not celebs.
Who are these people that you saw that are of note?
Okay, I am embarrassed because I don't know the names of them, but because they're all the basketball guys, so they're all like the ESPN basketball guys. So when I went to the bar,
like JJ Redick,
this very Mark Spears, not Marcus Spears, but there's another Mark.
Okay,
Mark something with a C.
So you saw a bunch of famous people who you don't know.
Yes, and it was when I saw them on the street, John. It was, you know what I did? It was a.
Oh,
hey, what's up,
you
man?
should host the red carpet. Be like, hey, you're in Top Gun. I know you're a huge deal. I can't remember your name, but I did love the movie.
Yeah, that's how I felt because I wanted to be like, oh, and then he had the little name tag hanging. It said Mark something. And I was like, yo,
hey, you, hey, buddy. A lot of that.
Yeah. So I saw a lot of people earlier. Took some pics, took some vids. Sweet. Exactly. And then started drinking because I'm very excited.
Man, what a great reporter you are. Hey, doing some really investigative journalism. I don't know your names. I'm not going to find out. Where's the bar? I need a drink.
Exactly. Did that for a couple hours. Then I met up with the other guy down there, Nico. He's like a Boston. He's from Revere, Massachusetts. He's like born and bred Boston hard. So me and him got.
Are they gonna shit on us for doing Boston accents?
No, we were doing nothing. I wanted to get a compilation of everyone doing Marcus Smart. That didn't happen. But the videographer guy flaked, so he never showed up. So
who shot your video?
We did. So thank God I brought my own video camera, my DSLR camera that I'm shooting on here, my phone, my microphone.
Yeah, but there's points where you're on the mic clearly engaging with fans. Who the hell is filming?
Nico, the kid that I met up with.
Oh, yeah. So like your friend?
Yeah, yeah.
Holy
So
shit.
but that only made us look better because it's like, hey, like nothing went right and we still handled it and
Sure.
everything turned out good. So, yeah, then we were supposed to go to a bar and meet up with this vodka company. I'm not going to say who it was. They were supposed to have a rep there and a table for us, and there was a table, but it was like in the corner, and it did not turn out very well. Very loud in there. We weren't going to be able to get any audio anyway.
Sure.
So it was fun. Stayed up. They lost obviously, and then we're out like on the streets and stuff, and we're with this other kid, Nico's buddy, and he's like, "Yeah, this is actually a real bad area after the games," and I'm like, why the fuck are we out here then? Like, let's go inside. And like the hotel doors are locked and we got to like buzz in and stuff. So I was like,
And it's
yeah,
like, hey, let's go to Southie and shoot some more content.
right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Where was the Departed shot? Yeah. So it was good. It was a good trip. Came back home.
It seemed awesome. It seemed like people were fans were definitely getting after it early.
Oh, yeah.
Like late afternoon early. I'm talking like 4 or 5 hours before tip.
Oh, John, I told you I got there like 10:20 by 1:00. I mean, there was
bombed.
a buzz. Well, not a bomb, but like you could feel the buzz on the street, like something was going to happen tonight. Like, there was obviously a finals game, but yeah, it was really cool. So very cool experience. Yeah,
dude, that's awesome, man.
Yeah,
great game too. I think that might have changed the series. Steph Curry was just unreal. What was it, like 43 points? He was just incredible. So that game was awesome. It definitely turned the tide because obviously the Warriors won Game 5, and I don't see them losing that series.
Yeah.
Sweet, dude. Well,
and then hopefully a next surprise for next month too. Might have another trip going.
Are we at liberty to say what or no?
No, not yet. We'll cross that bridge when we get there.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
So a couple of agenda items today. And so the first podcast we ever did, we were previewing Second Baseman. And so this segment is called Yay and Nay. Yay is basically where I called it.
Hear ye, hear ye.
And nay is when I completely fucked up. So yay, where I was right, NL Second Baseman preview, our first podcast that we did. I talked about Tommy Edman, who also plays shortstop, but also second base. He's killing it, a potential all-star, slugging, or excuse me, OPS 773, on-base percentage 355, 15 stolen bases, 6 homers. He's killing it. Also, Jeff McNeil for the Mets. Leads the Mets in WAR and hitting 320 and basically carrying that lineup as the Mets are just killing it. So, which I did not expect them to be that good, but I did expect Jeff McNeil to be awesome. So Tommy Edman, Jeff McNeil, props to myself for calling that. Nay, okay. The nays where I was wrong.
Can we just address real quick?
Go ahead.
Will either of them be all-stars?
I think so. They have to hold it together for what, another month? 3 weeks?
I mean, I see Jazz Chisholm out of the National League for me.
He's great.
I think that's hard to
you could put Edman at short too. That's the other thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, but Jazz is amazing. He's killing it, and a lot more power than I had originally suspected.
Mm-hmm.
Like a little bit more pop, which you would not necessarily think. The nays where I was wrong. So last pod I said Joe Girardi's job was safe. Obviously, that was not the case, and obviously that was a smart move to remove him because the Phillies have been just
9-1
dominating since he was fired. Did we? When I asked you this, when do you fire a manager? When do you know the clubhouse is lost? What do you have to do to fire a manager?
I mean,
how do you know? I feel like it's super hard to tell because you could say a manager out of all the professional coaches is the least important. I feel like maybe basketball might be the least important. Baseball might be too. Football is extremely important coaching. But for baseball, how do you know when a manager has lost? So if you're the front office for the Phillies, who do you talk to be like, hey, do we get rid of Girardi or not? Do you talk to like Bryce Harper? Do you talk to? How do you know?
I think there's
especially if they're liked.
Sure, but I think there's a lot of people inside the clubhouse that will, tell owners, management, things like that. If they've lost respect for him, I think effort that you see from players out in the field is an indication too of whether they're giving up on the team, giving up on a coach or a manager. And it's up to the manager to kind of light a fire under your team's ass if you're starting to see shit like that, not running out ground balls, that kind of shit. That's when there needs to be some kind of like fire as opposed to just sitting back and accepting it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Going out, protecting your players for certain things.
Coming in early, like getting extra swings, being all right, like I want to play for this guy and I'm going to try hard. I'm going to make an effort to try to work on the things, make adjustments at the plate, come in for, whatever extra work that I need to.
And I don't know if it's just me, but I want to see, like some kind of fire, excitement, moving with authority or purpose. You know what I mean? That's why I always thought it was very weird. Remember Lovie Smith when he was the coach for the Bears?
Yes.
That guy always had the same expression every time. I don't think he yelled once while he was coaching. I just find that so weird. I'm like, you need to get excited. You need to show some enthusiasm when you're coaching people or managing.
Yes and no. And I feel like you don't need to scream to be like a good coach. Like people like revere Mike Ditka in this town because he was like a hard-nosed like guy who screamed all the time. Like that doesn't equal success. You know, like Bill Belichick is a guy that is very quiet and extremely reserved and is arguably the most successful coach in pro sports history in like North America.
But if you go into the film room, he will tear you apart. We've heard stories, right?
Yeah.
Where he's saying, are you fucking, even if it's not yelling, but it's like, are you fucking kidding me? You can't make that block, you fucking bitch. Like he would have a smaller tone, but still kind of have that.
So okay. So I'll get to the Yankees in a second, but then why wasn't Aaron Boone fired in like 18, 19, 20? Like, how did he survive that?
They still won 93 games or 90 something games. It's not like they went on a 12-game skid or anything like that. I mean, the AL East is one of the most competitive, or one, you got three of the best teams in this season, at least. I mean, the Red Sox are coming back, Blue Jays, and then you got the Yankees. We're going to touch on that later because I think the Yankees already wrapped up the division.
I think so too.
It's if you win 90 something games, it's kind of hard to be like, oh, that's the manager's fault we didn't get over the hump. There's probably a couple things, why you didn't get to where you wanted or as far in the postseason.
Yeah. Also, the Yankees have unrealistic expectations because Brian Cashman and the front office freaks out if they don't go to like the World Series every year. So there is that. All right. Another nay where I was wrong. I said the Angels are finally contenders in the AL West. Well, they completely fell off the face of the earth. Joe Madden, I think, didn't he get a mohawk to like try to get the team like riled up and light a spark, and then he was let go. Is that correct?
Do you know how weird that exit interview must have looked? Like he probably looked like a psych ward patient because he hasn't got everything up there. It's like this, it's all see through. It looks like cotton candy, pretty much, And
they're like, Joe, this isn't working. This isn't working out. And he's like, well, wait a minute, I have some farm animals I can also bring in.
Just like, I know a magician.
Come on, a couple goats, just everyone come here. He's like literally like just desperate. Like, what else can I do?
There's this great magician. When I was with the Cubs, everyone loved it.
And then he just then he makes Dexter Fowler appear again. They're like, no, that's not gonna be no. Joe, please go.
Oh my God.
NL Central weekend. So I spent the weekend watching my 1-year-old son crawling and putting literally everything in his mouth, and also trying to grab my dog's water bowl. But while I was preventing him from doing that, I was watching the Yankees destroy the Cubs, like just pound them. And like, you can't get Judge out. You can't get Stanton out. Like that lineup is relentless. And then I'm thinking, why are the Yankees good this year as opposed to last year? And I was thinking about it. It's like, well, their players are healthy and they're producing. And sometimes it really is that simple. Like Stanton isn't hurt and he's just being Giancarlo Stanton. Same with Judge. Judge is healthy and he's playing like Aaron Judge.
I mean, he's playing like an MVP.
He's playing well. He's playing well. But is it that simple? Like, I know Nestor Cortez, they have
their whole starting rotation, top 25, I believe, or top 35. Everyone in their starting rotation is a top 25 or top 35 pitcher, which is insane. Your entire starting rotation.
Yeah. and healthy too. A lot of them have been fairly healthy, which I think is huge too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, NL Central, who takes the division? Obviously, I think it's between Brewers and Cardinals. I was thinking about this. The Brewers have absolutely no depth, and I feel like have had no depth forever. I feel like they're like a one-trick pony with they get like they muster up a few runs and then bring in Williams and Hader to kind of shut the door, which I feel like is like kind of bullshit for Council. I feel like Council has been his tenure in Milwaukee has been solely predicated upon the success of Hader, which I think is like a bit unfair. I feel like it's like a get out of jail free card, but I think with Adames back, I think as that lineup goes, Adames goes. I think if they can muster enough runs, I feel like they can win that division. But I do think the Cardinals have a lot more depth, especially with their young guys. A lot of their position players. Flaherty's coming back too. So I'd probably say the Cardinals because I feel like the Brewers have no depth and are just not going to fade in that division.
The Milwaukee Brewers are success is solely predicated on their pitching. Okay. And this is the stat that I looked at. Run differential. Everyone knows what run differential is, the amount of runs you score versus the amount you let up. Milwaukee Brewers, their run differential right now is +5. Okay. What would you think the Cardinals is right now?
I don't know.
+49. So going on to what you said, Milwaukee doesn't have the offense, or they don't have enough offense to sustain to keep up with who they're playing, and especially people in their division. The Cardinals have pop, dude. They can hit very well. They can put 7-8 runs on you real quick. We saw that last night. They put up a bunch of runs in the last inning or last three at bats, whatever it was. The run differential, yes, +50, and the next in your division is at +5. So the amount of runs that they score against their opponents farly outweighs kind of what Milwaukee is doing, and I think that's going to be the biggest difference when it comes down to these two teams.
Okay. All right, that's fair.
I mean, again, I agree, right? It's. I mean,
yeah.
the Milwaukee's success is predicated on their pitching.
Yes, their starting pitching, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. Woodruff, Peralta, all those guys.
Mm-hmm.
So we're moving to the suburbs soon, so we're trying to soak up the last couple of weeks we have here in Chicago. So we're going to a lot of fun street festivals, and obviously just chilling with the kid watching baseball. And I caught Sunday Night Baseball, and this gets into Major League Baseball marketing and why they just cannot figure it out. Now, I will give them credit. On Sunday Night Baseball, they mic'd up Mike Trout, who was not in center field, obviously.
Love mic'd up.
Okay, I love mic'd up too, and I think it's awesome. However, just because someone is good, does it mean you have to market them? And I bring it the case like Mike Trout is incredible. Okay, he arguably is the best player of our generation, but he is so fucking boring.
Yeah,
and so boring. And I thought it was so cool that he was mic'd up, and just nothing interesting, nothing funny. ESPN is trying so hard to make things like interesting or funny, and they're just not. Now, say what you want about the Reds suck, but I would love to have Joey Votto mic'd up for a few innings. And like, is he the best player? No. Is he on a terrible team? Yes. That's an understatement. But like, selecting certain players just because they're good doesn't mean that they're interesting. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, 100%. I think they're obviously trying to force it because
totally it feels 100% forced, and you're like, oh god, this feels like everyone is trying so hard to make this happen. And that's how I feel honestly about the Baseball Tonight podcast, like with Buster Only. I'm like, oh my god, like,
I mean, who's gonna watch though if they mic'd up? I don't know, maybe Jared Walsh is a funny guy, or
yeah, but content's content, so you can cut that, you can put it on social, you can do a lot of things with it. Like what I want to see Mike Trout, I want to see Mike Trout highlights. Okay, I want to see him play. I don't want to hear Mike Trout talk. I don't, like when they remember a couple years ago in spring training when they mic'd up Madden Rizzo and Bryant.
Yes.
Like that was.
And they were calling what was going to
They
happen
were
before
calling what
yeah.
happened. He was talking about like
Hope this is
Hamilton
a
Porter,
fastball.
the Sandlot. It was hilarious. It was
Yeah.
great. It was engaging. It was
Legendary.
funny. They mic'd up Mookie Betts one time, like in right field, and Mookie's awesome and
He's like,
really.
oh, I'm not going to get to that one,
like,
boys.
I'm not going to get that one. And it was like it was a real moment. It was hilarious. So why doesn't MLB lean into that? You know, they're forced. Like Mike Trout doesn't want to be marketed. Like, okay, move on. Like,
Right.
So what he does? Like he re-signed to be in Anaheim for a reason. Is because I don't want to say he's a boring person, but he doesn't like the limelight and he doesn't want to be in the spotlight. And frankly, doesn't care about being on a contending team. And I think he's fine with it. I'll take the money. I have a happy life. I love my son and my
live
wife.
in LA.
I live in LA. And by the way, his wife, Jessica Trout, great Instagram follow. Their house is awesome. Awesome. She's funny. She posts really cute pics of their kid. They also post a lot of cool videos of their house, behind that scene stuff. It's great. Highly recommend that follow. She's awesome.
Oh,
so
that's what she looks like?
I don't know where you're looking. Are you looking at her Instagram?
I mean, I'm just looking at photos.
What are you saying? Are you saying she's not good enough for Mike Trout?
And
I think they were high school. I think they were high school sweethearts.
Okay.
So that might have been the reason.
Yeah, I'm starting to see older photos here. Makes sense. Yeah. Chris Bryant did the same thing.
Yeah.
Those girls that you meet in high school, because then you know they're not after the money, you know. What?
What are you saying? They're safe bets?
Yeah, they're not going to rob you, pretty much, and sleep with a teammate, you know. I mean, that's a real thing, dude. Like, think about it.
Oh my god, especially in. There was a great joke David Spade, when he was on SNL, was doing, just like shitting on Hollywood stars, and he got in trouble because like he shit on Eddie Murphy, who like I still hates him to this day apparently. But he did one. It was like oh, the New York Mets were going on a 9-day road trip, but got canceled because of weather, and now they have to stay home and sleep with their own wives.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I think that was the joke. This was back in the late 80s. This was a really it was all the craze.
There was another comedian who was talking about, I forgot who it was, but he was like, you know, when Tiger Woods got in trouble, and my wife was like, "Can you believe this? Can you fucking believe this guy just sleeping with 21 women?" And he's like, "Yeah." She's like, "Would you ever do that?" And he's like, "No, I would never do it." He's like, "Bro, the only woman that talks to you is the woman who greets you at Walmart. Like, you don't have 7-foot Scandinavian women like wanting to sleep with you. You know what I mean? So they deal with different temptations than the everyday schmo."
Yeah, well, Chris Rock talks about that. Guy, he says his joke is that guys are only as faithful as their options. You know, so it's like, so he was like, you know, depending on what you look like or your status, like, you're only as faithful to your options. He's like, if you're like some nobody, like your options are obviously limited. But if you're Tiger Woods, you can pretty much do whatever you want.
Right.
And he did.
Mm-hmm.
Back to MLB marketing. So I saw a trailer for The Captain, this like documentary series about Jeter.
Jeets, baby.
I like Derek Jeter. Okay.
I love Derek Jeter.
Derek Jeter's great. Okay. But this goes back to my point. Like, is Derek Jeter interesting? Do I want to watch a documentary series on Derek Jeter, who, you know, prided himself on being quiet, neutral, didn't give any good sound bites? Why the fuck do I want to watch a documentary about Derek Jeter? I know he worked hard and cared a lot, but am I going to learn anything interesting or be entertained this documentary? Full disclosure, John, I'm going to watch it, but this is my point. Why, John, you don't have to market someone just because they're good.
Okay, but have you heard any sound bites from what's the guy's name? The Apple guy that invented the iPhone?
Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs. Have you ever seen Steve Jobs in?
God.
Okay, have you ever seen Steve Jobs in the media, like making profound statements or making?
Yes.
No.
Go on YouTube and type in Steve Jobs.
Okay, outside of his
speech from Stanford, like
okay, well that's like Derek Jeter highlights. Then that's like Derek Jeter highlights. You can argue and say, oh, that's Derek Jeter highlights. He's hitting a home run. He's making a great play at shortstop. All I'm saying is, John, there are stories within the organization, within the teammates that are so fascinating. They're going to talk to teammates. They're going to talk to managers, everyone around the game, girls. I'm sure randoms are going to come and have stories. And did you see what they did? Derek Jeter just got a Twitter. Derek Jeter just got an Instagram. You don't think that's all premeditated? Like that is a whole part of them, like kind of building up this story. He's going to start releasing stuff and hating on people. And he was already making fun of little kids on Twitter already. I was like, dude, this is great. So they're starting to kind of build that up. But I don't think you have to be an outspoken person in order to be very interesting.
I'm not saying be outspoken. Okay. The 30 for 30 documentary Once Upon a Time in Queens about the 86 so Mets. That was incredible. That was interesting. That was funny. I learned a lot. Again, just like not all of them were. Some like Dykstra was like
Lenny Dykstra.
Lenny Dykstra was great. Like, that was funny, but like some of the other players, but it was great stories. It was insight on why that team was so good. And they were only kind of known for like winning the World Series because of the Buckner play with Boston, but you actually learn like, oh wow, this team was awesome. So that was great, and that was fun and entertaining, and I learned something. So hopefully with this Jeter doc, they have something that I don't know or is interesting about him, other than he like worked really hard, and that's it. I just don't. I don't know what else we're gonna really find out. So
I mean,
all right.
I saw a clip from A-Rod. A-Rod said, he asked Jeter, "Oh, are we okay?" And he was like, not really," and like walked away. Like he kind of could be like a dick. And he played shortstop in New York for 2 decades, one of the biggest sports markets out there. Like,
what do we find out there that people don't like A-Rod? A-Rod fucking sucks. Okay, like that's not a surprise. A-Rod sucks and is like trying so hard to be put back in like the public forum in like a positive light and just failing miserably. I think he's such like an attention whore. He'll be in any fucking documentary or video, be like, "Hey, A-Rod, do you want to be?" Yeah, I'll be in that. He's gross.
Grown Ups 3, you got it.
Yeah, he fucking sucks. Can't stand him. This is so dumb. This is so stupid. I don't know why he did it. My wife, one of the reasons I love her, the many reasons I love her, shout out to my wife, Alex, is because she calls me on it, like my bullshit. So I was just like getting so upset at A-Rod for a while because I was following his vlog online, which is just...
He's got a vlog?
Yeah. It's just his day of like, oh, I'm waking up. I'm going to this meeting. Now I'm going to this business meeting. Now I'm taking a class at Stanford for the day. And he flies for the day to like Stanford and does like a talk and goes to a class and then flies back home. And I'm just like, this guy sucks. And I was just getting so angry. And my wife's like, why are you doing this to yourself? Why are you riling yourself up watching his content every new episode? And I'm like, I don't know. His life is fucking cool.
It's like a car crash. You can't look away, right?
It's like, I don't like him. His life is incredible. I'm fascinated by this guy, but also like can't stand him. And I don't know. I watched like every episode of his vlog. I don't know if he's still doing it, but
I mean, that's a real thing, man. I mean, there's cool. Like, that Jake Paul kid. I don't necessarily like that kid, but if he, does stuff, I'm usually gonna tune in. Or if I scroll in, I'm like, what's going on here?
Yeah. That's how I feel about Pete Davidson. Like, I don't think Pete Davidson's that funny, but
he's not at all.
But I don't know. Like he hosted this new Netflix show on, and he like hosted it with a bunch of other comedians. And I was like, I am not a fan of Pete Davidson. And then I watched it. I watched this like 8-10 minutes of material because I was like, I'll just check it out and see what he's doing. And I was like, no, it's not. He just literally talked about his life, like going to basketball games with Jon Stewart and Chris Rock. He's become so famous that he's just talking about things that are happening with his life, but his life is so like insane now, and he has a celebrity girlfriend and runs with so many popular people that you're like, all right, this isn't funny, but it is interesting.
Right, yeah.
Like I'll listen to him for an 8-minute monologue with no jokes talking about how crazy his life is. I was like, I guess this is interesting.
Yeah, you'll watch if he starts a vlog too.
I know I will. It's so sad. So last thing I have for you is so I was watching the NBA finals and thinking about like how amazing and skilled Steph Curry is. And then I was thinking about the athletes that physically you're like, how are they good at their sport? They shouldn't be. Like it makes no sense. And I was like, Steph Curry is a person where, he's not a physically imposing person. He's not super fast, but he's just uniquely skilled. His awareness, his ball handling, like someone who's immensely skilled, but not necessarily physically gifted within their sport, I think is a marvel to watch. I had Barry Sanders as well. Not super strong, no breakaway speed, but just incredible vision, agility on the football field. Pedro Martinez is another one for baseball. 5'10", 5'11", but just incredible torque and pronation with his changeup and breaking ball and movement on his pitches. Like, they talk about how large his hands are and particularly how long his fingers are and how they can like have the dexterity and flexibility and bend in really unique positions that could make the ball spin.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other one was Patrick Kane for hockey. I'm not a huge hockey fan, but Patrick Kane is a really small dude, and just every time he gets the puck, he either scores, makes a really good pass or a decision, and is lightning fast on the ice. And I feel the same way about Curry. Anytime Curry has the ball, even in Game 5 the other night where he wasn't scoring a ton of points, he was creating space for other players, making great decisions, passing, not turning the ball over. It was just incredible. And then I thought about the other category, people that are just like born to run, like just perfectly gifted at their sport.
Bruce Springsteen,
number one, amazing. Just was born to be a legendary artist. LeBron James is good at basketball. It makes sense. He should be. He's like 6'8" and incredibly gifted and like athletically. Aaron Judge is another person, just like hitting bombs. It's like, of course he should. Josh Allen, same thing. Like a huge dude, strong, fast, can run. And it's like, I enjoy watching them, but I don't enjoy watching them as much as some of these other guys that aren't as physically imposing and are just so uniquely skilled at their sport. So
the one thing I would say is I think it's almost harder for Aaron Judge to be as dominant as he is because he is so big. I mean, it's great to be.
Disagree. You see him just like flick balls to right field because he's humongous. It's like, okay. It's like, oh, it's almost like cheating.
Previous to this season, though, he has had injury bugs as well because he is so big playing the outfield. His strike zone is so big. I think it is a lot harder. I mean, how many 6'7"? Who was that guy? Richie Sexton? I mean, he was like super tall too. Yeah. But I mean, like you don't typically see super tall guys being super successful in baseball. I would say super tall. We're talking, I mean, the tallest player in baseball right now, I think, is the pitcher for the Rays. What's his name? Their ace that went down.
I forget his name, but I've seen him on social media.
I'm thinking about is Shane McClanahan because he's their ace right now. The one that looks like the dude from every Christopher Nolan movie.
Tom Hardy?
No.
Christian Bale?
Dude, his name's like Tyler Glasnow. Yes. Tyler Glasnow, I think, is the tallest baseball player in the big leagues. Okay. Now I'm looking up his lookalike. Yeah. The dude from Peaky Blinders, Cillian Murphy.
Oh, yeah. Dude,
you know what I'm talking
about? In all of Christopher Nolan's movies, first of all, he was the Scarecrow of Batman Begins, and I think he was in Dunkirk, but that's 2 movies.
Batman, Dark Knight Rises.
Okay, he has like a cameo when he's like the judge when it's like the whole town is like turned vigilante or chaotic or whatever. I wouldn't say he's like the muse. You could say like DiCaprio was
Inception.
Cillian Murphy's in the Inception.
Yeah, he's the guy that they tried to remember. His father was the one that makes the plans, and they're trying to incept into his brain, incept or whatever.
Can I tell you? Yeah, vaguely, and it's fine. I'll give you that.
Batman Begins, Tenet.
Batman Begins. Yes.
Maybe.
Okay. All right. He's in a few.
Okay.
He's not even a main character. However, let me tell you about a Christopher Nolan movie that sucked, which is this is contrarian because people love this movie. Have you seen Tenet?
Yes.
Dude, I'm done with fucking time travel movies. Like,
I mean,
I'm so done with time travel movies. At this point, I'm tired. Like, I don't need a basic story plot, but I don't need to go back 15 fucking layers to like understand a story plot. Like,
you
just
can't understand it. That's the thing. After you get so like you're going backwards, the whole thing they're going backwards, and then the other side is going forward. I watched it once. I went to the theaters. Literally came out. What the fuck did I just watch? Like I had no idea. It was entertaining, gunshots and cool cinematography. Had no idea what was going on. I'm like, did the good guys win or what? I mean, I don't know what happened.
yeah, I was watching it with my wife and I like paused it 15 times and she's like, "Hey, maybe we just shouldn't watch this." I was like, "Yeah, maybe we shouldn't. I
Yeah.
fucking hate this. I'm so sick of time travel movies."
Taking notes.
Yeah, I'm way over. I'm like, this, I follow this comedy writer and this was like the last season of Game of Thrones. And I remember he tweeted, he was like, Game of Thrones is starting to feel like homework. I'm gonna watch Family Guy for the 50th time. I was like,
Yeah.
I get that. Like, it's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I give props to how you got to think that stuff out.
Now
He
I could
also,
follow Game of Thrones, but Tenet, I was like, Jesus Christ.
if you watch, he breaks down Memento, and Memento is he breaks down like the story plot, and one storyline is going this way, and the other one is going this way, and then they meet. He's like, "Here's the end of the movie," and then they have flashbacks in between. It's just so complicated.
I'm trying to think of other Christopher Nolan movies now.
I don't know. Did you see Top Gun or
Dude,
Jurassic Park?
I did not see Jurassic Park yet. I plan to. Top Gun was amazing.
Really?
It was incredible. It was
Oh.
it was unbelievable, dude.
I heard good things. I still need to see it.
Dude, you would absolutely love it. And you don't really need to see the first one either, although I would recommend it. It was on Netflix for a while and now it's gone, but
Yeah.
highly recommend Top Gun. Like the modern tech, like obviously the technology that they used in 1986 is obviously very different now. So like the maneuvers and the tech and the planes are more advanced. So the types of moves and maneuvers that they can do is far advanced than the one in the mid 80s. And Cruise is super weird, dude, but dude, he makes a great movie. Like
Sure.
he's just a fantastic superstar. He's
He
an
was born
actor.
for it. He's one of those guys you said. One of the
He's
LeBron James, one of the Aaron
exactly.
Judges. Kind of born for it.
He's freaking great. It's fantastic. But yeah, haven't seen Jurassic Park yet. I enjoyed those series too, but yeah, dude, have you seen? And I'm not like I'm a basketball fan, but I'm not as big a basketball fan as I am baseball,
Hustle.
football. Have you seen Hustle?
Yes.
Dude, it's fucking good.
Yeah, it is.
It's
And
really good.
and I think I like Adam Sandler more in serious roles than I do as in comedy roles. Especially as he's gotten older. Maybe
Yeah,
younger, Happy Gilmore, that kind of stuff, Goofy, whatever.
Billy Madison,
Waterboy.
the Water Boy. I mean, the Wedding Singer was on there tonight. I was like, it was
Oh,
hilarious.
yeah, so good.
So funny.
But as he's gotten older, the serious roles,
He's
Uncut
really
Gems and this.
Uncut Gems, this, and I think he got this role because of Uncut Gems.
Sure.
There's a couple other ones he's pretty good in. Punch Drunk Love is another movie that I've seen that he's really good in. But
Funny People,
Funny People, he's also
dark
good in too.
comedy.
He's really good. Yeah, he's a very good actor. In fact, after I watched Hustle, I watched his stand-up special from 2018, and
The
dude,
one where he sings.
yeah, like all those songs, dude. He's just a really prolific comedian actor, like one of the greats. And I think he's definitely done some movies that I think were not very good, but they always make money. So he's been able to pretty much do whatever he wants. But he's a really brilliant guy, super funny, and I haven't liked everything he's done, but he's done a ton, and his body of work is pretty impressive. And this one, Hustle, is just so good. I watched it with Alex, and she loved it. She was like, "Oh," so I had watched it, and I was like, "This is so good." I was like, "I think my wife will like it." So I was like, "Why don't you watch this?" And I rewatched it with her, and she was like, "I really love that movie." I was like, "I figured you would." I feel like that's going to be a classic movie that will live for a long time. Like
And
that's
it's big here in Philly, obviously.
yeah,
A lot of people
obviously.
talking about that.
Yeah, for
One
sure.
thing I did want to touch on real quick, like you said, that comedy special that you watched of his, I thought it was kind of bizarre. He did like a lot of singing and he put glasses on and sang
But
some funny
he
weird
started
shit.
doing that too. Like
But
you remember in the I mean, I'm not that much older than you, but like he in the '90s, he did so many comedy albums of like
Sure.
sketches and songs, and he did a
Yeah.
lot of that shit on SNL too. So it wasn't that out of the ordinary. I felt like
Well, not ordinary. I just thought it was weird. But the one thing, honestly, that brought a tear, could like pretty close to bringing a tear to my
the
eye,
Farley song.
the Farley song.
Yeah,
I mean, it was heartfelt. They had the video montage of him behind, and it was just. I mean, that song is so good.
yeah,
What did he say? It's like that's why I love Chris Farley, something like that, right?
yeah. I think
My
he
best
closed.
friend. Yeah.
Yeah, they were really close, obviously at SNL, and he closed with that song. But yeah, I watched the documentary. I read the Chris Farley show, which is his
Mhm.
book. And you know, it's just he's so funny, and obviously you and I being from the Midwest, and doing comedy and whatever, it's you read about him all the time. He's everywhere at every comedy theater, and his sketches are legendary in SNL and Tommy Boy and Black Sheep and stuff. I mean, he died at 33. Like, talk about like like a pretty short life, and packing all those indelible moments in there is pretty impressive. But
Mhm.
dude, he in the book, he went to mass every morning, like church. He was grew up in a Catholic family, and I believe Madison or somewhere, or Milwaukee,
In
somewhere in
Milwaukee, yeah.
Wisconsin. Um, and just like tried, like they were in the book. I think it was his brother or a priest who was very close to. Who was like, Chris really tried. Like he
Mhm.
went to rehab so many times and went to mass every Sunday morning, and really tried to kick this like drug and alcohol addiction habit. And he just couldn't do it. But it wasn't like he gave up. Like he went hard on everything. David Spade said that too. He's like he laughed hard, he cried hard, he improvised hard, like he did everything, full force and 100%.
Did you see when
Um,
Rob, what was the name? Rob,
Schneider,
no, the other Rob, the really handsome one from Parks and Rec.
Rob Lowe.
Rob Lowe. He was saying he went out to eat with Chris Farley and they all got steaks and they're all eating steak. Chris would take the buns or the rolls that came in and he put a whole like stick of butter on it. He's like, Chris, why are you doing that? He goes, it needs a little hat. And then he would just eat it like all this butter on top of the rolls.
I was listening to Mark Maron, Mark Maron's podcast, and he was telling a story about Farley. Some guy he knew Farley back in like the '90s in Chicago, and it was after a show, and Farley was like on mushrooms and like drunk and just like just super fucked up, and
Slob.
he was sitting at the bar and he threw up on himself.
Mhm.
And he looked over at the guy and looked at his shirt and he goes, I guess I'm full.
Yeah.
It's like just so sad, but also like just hilarious. Ugh,
Well,
it's
he was a
so
people pleaser. That's what they kept saying is like, if you wanted Chris to do something, he would do it just because he wanted to get a laugh from you. So he's like always trying to get validation from other people.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, I mean, that's another guy. And pretty much everything he did, except for his last movie or whatever, where he was like super on drugs. Everything he did was great. So many sketches on SNL. Everything that guy did was great. It's just amazing. Like, I'm 35, and the fact that he died at 33, and then all of the work that he did in like, I don't know when he got SNL, but that's like 5-7 years of work. And
Sure. Yeah.
like, and people still talk about him, revere him as like, one of the funniest comedian actors of all time. And he worked for 7 years, 6 years. Like, that's insane. That's
Right.
like Sandy Koufax level, Koufax
Mhm.
pitched for such a short amount of time. It was just like, like a superstar, but just for a brief period of time. I feel like Farley was the same thing in comedy.
Speaking of Sandy Koufax, kind of. If you don't have anything, John, I just want to
Go for it. I'm done.
recap just the divisional, just every division, and kind of see where we're at with teams and kind of who's going to win. We're almost halfway through the season. We're about a third away through the season, but right now we'll just go by division. AL East, John. I mean, we got the Yankees coming on top of that division, right?
100%. I'm not, even if they have injuries, I'm I'm pretty confident their pitching and their lineup is just stacked.
John, they've only lost 16 games.
I know.
I mean, that's ridiculous.
I don't know if like that unique streak will continue, but I think they will win the division pretty handily.
They have the highest run differential in MLB with 127.
Their lineup is insane, dude. Like they don't stop hitting home runs. I mean, even Rizzo too. I mean, I was like,
Matt Carpenter. That was a great pickup. Great pickup for Matt Carpenter. Got released.
What did he have, like 6 home runs and 12 at bats or something? It's insane.
Rangers let him go after a minor league deal. Yankees picked him up, and he's been outstanding with them. So it's a genius move on the Yankees' part to pick up Matt Carpenter.
That's one of the beauties about baseball. People are like, you suck. And then the next day or a week later, they're like the best player on that team. And like a week before, they were like, no one wants you. And a week later, like, you're the best team. You're the best player on our team. Like, that doesn't happen in any other sport, ever. It's so weird. That's one of the great things about the game is like you get that. Or like Steve Pearce a few years ago with the Red Sox. You're like, who the fuck is this guy? Why is he so good? You know what I mean? But that's one of the best things. Like in basketball, there are no surprises. You know exactly who the good players are. You're not going to get surprise performances. Like Andrew Wiggins played well the other night for the Warriors, but like he's still one of their best players. You know, it's like it's not like a guy who warms the bench for half the season is going to put up like 15 points. That just doesn't happen.
So Yankees coming out of the AL East, it looks like Toronto, Tampa Bay, and Boston, they're all going to be fighting for a wild card spot.
Yep.
AL Central, are the White Sox frauds? Yes or no?
Dude. Tony La Russa, man.
He's got to be the next one to go, right? Next domino to fall.
Here's the thing about business. If the owner likes you, it doesn't matter.
Right.
The fans fucking hate him. They requested that he be fired pretty loudly. You could hear a few days ago when they were begging him to be fired. The analysts are covering for him, and it's so obvious on sports talk radio. The fans hate him. The front office was never aligned with that, Rick Hahn, regardless of what he said publicly. It was not his choice. They wanted AJ Hinch. And this team is supposed to go to the World Series, and they're drastically underperforming. And he is digging himself in a hole so much with these moves. Can we talk a little bit about him walking Trey Turner on 1-2 to face Max Muncy hitting a home run? Like that's never happened. I mean, Joe Sheehan, I think, did some research. Like he can't find any evidence that anyone was intentionally walked on 1-2.
That goes back to the point where we mentioned over managing, right? So that was strictly a numbers split.
I
matchup decision.
I heard his explanation, but like you don't intentionally walk someone on 1-2.
Right.
You just don't. So I think he's going. I would say he's going to be gone. But the only reason he's there is because this was an executive decision by Jerry Reinsdorf, the owner, who said the biggest mistake of his professional career was letting Tony La Russa go
40 years ago.
And he wanted to right this wrong. So, I mean, you've worked in business. I work in business. Like everyone can hate you. You can be incompetent at your job. But if you're the owner's son or daughter or friends with the owner, you can do literally whatever you want, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I think he will. I think we'll see how this season goes. I definitely think he'll never get fired during the year. That will never happen. If he ever goes, it'll be like he's stepping down after the season. But I think it will be his decision because Reinsdorf won't let it happen. But it's just so sad because this team's awesome, and I know they've been dealing with a bunch of injuries, but it's not good. It's really bad here in Chicago, especially because it's like the White Sox are the only game in town right now. And they're terrible.
AL West, obviously, I think we're just going to go ahead and say that the Astros are going to take that.
100%.
Angels fell. Seattle not playing up to their expectations from earlier.
I don't have a lot of faith in the A's this year at all. Like that's Houston all the way.
No. Yeah. NL East, probably the most interesting division. You got the Mets, the
Yes.
Braves, and the Philadelphia Phillies. They're all three teams are 3.5 games within each other. And I think it's just been pretty amazing what the Mets have been doing with their top two pitchers down, man. I mean, if you would have said, beginning of the season, your starting pitcher for opening day is going to be Tyler McGill. I mean, as a Mets fan, they got to be thinking that's bad news. Like, we're not going to be doing very well. And they have tread water the entire time. Atlanta, hot right now, 12-game win streak. And then you got the Phillies after they fired Girardi, 9-1. So it's just they're really closing that gap for those that top spot in the NL East.
I think all those teams are really good, obviously, and I don't think any of them are going to really fall back. I feel like people are like, oh, the Braves lost Albies because he fractured his foot. He's going to be out for 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah.
I don't think that's really going to limit them. I think they have so many talented players, and I think they have a lot of depth. So I'm not really too concerned about that. I think it just comes down to, and this is a lot of teams too, and this is every year. It's like, who has starting pitching healthy in like September?
Mhm.
Like, I just think it's so important. It's when the injuries occur and when you get guys back. And that could be said for so many teams, but I think these three teams are going to be pretty close. And I don't know. I feel like I would need to make this decision around like, I think it's going to go down to the wire, and I just want to see if like the starting pitching holds up. You know what I mean? Like, are those like, when is DeGrom supposed to come back?
I don't know. I think he started throwing already, though.
So I mean that'll depend too. But then again, too, he throws like, he gets injured like every 4 starts.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and he throws like 101, so it's just tremendous pressure on his arm. But I don't really know who's going to win that division.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if the Mets are going to Met at the end of the season, if Atlanta can continue to stay hot, and then obviously Phillies are putting up a lot of runs, but you got to be able to close out games, and their bullpen is obviously the weak spot. We touched on NL Central already between St. Louis and Milwaukee. NL West looks like it's going to be a race again between Dodgers, San Diego, and San Francisco. So all those California teams, again, 3 games within each other. And that's going to be a close race too, man. Again, San Diego without their best player, Fernando Tatis. The Dodgers have some injuries as well. Be kind of curious to see how they're going to be. They're on a 3-game losing streak. They just got swept by their division rivals as well. So that's not looking too good.
I think the Dodgers this year, they obviously have to get a little bit healthy, but Betts is playing at just, I feel like, an all-star level again. There was some huge drop-off last year, and I couldn't really figure out what was going on with him, but whatever it was, he corrected it, and looks like the Mookie Betts that we're all accustomed to.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would pick the Dodgers to come out of that division. I don't think they're going to have to fight for a wild card spot again. I honestly think San Francisco was kind of an anomaly last year. I think they surprised a lot of people, and I think
they overperformed.
I definitely think they overperformed, and I think they're definitely going to come back down a little bit here. They don't have Bryant, it's a little bit different team. So the Dodgers still are stacked. They have a great farm system. They got Freeman. Betts is playing awesome. Kershaw, I think just made a comeback start too. So I think LA takes that division for sure. And who knows how Tatis is going to perform when he comes back. It was a pretty huge injury to a really important part of his game, which is obviously hitting. So it's not like a foot or anything. So I'd be curious to see like how he comes back from that, particularly at the plate, because it's his wrist, right?
Yeah, don't drive motorcycles.
Yeah,
that's a lesson there. All right, John. I think that was everything, right?
Yeah.
Coming in at 54 minutes. Not too bad.
That's not bad. I know you like to keep these short, but
we haven't talked in a while. It's been like 2 weeks.
You've been mad about town. You're a big shot now. You're the golden boy of Playmaker.
Like Pete Davidson, dude. I run with big circles now.
No, because I like you, and I don't like Pete Davidson.
All right, John. We're going to talk about getting more consistent time and day for our podcast, so all of our millions of listeners can expect when this can drop, so they can tune in and listen to when they're walking the dog or driving in their car because they want to hear us. So we're going to do a more consistent schedule for you guys, just so you know that will be coming out. Pay attention to our socials. We will put those out once we figure out what day and time we're going to start dropping the podcast regularly.
Yep.
Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right, guys. Thank you for watching and listening. This is Lost in the Shuffle by Sheffield Shuffler. I am Peter, the Sheffield Shuffler, and this is...
I am John, the Loloja.
Yes, we'll work on that as well. Thank you, guys.
See you guys. Peace.